Local FUD Ben Jack Hawthorne here to show you the greatest battle implement ever made. The 1911 45 ACP. You know why they call it the 1911? Because 19 minus 11 is 8, and that's 7 plus 1. If God wanted you to have more, he'd have given you more, but he didn't. Accuracy, stopping power. Accuracy, stopping power. When it comes to the 45 ACP, that's good enough. Hi guys, welcome back to Mid-Tier Thoughts. Today we're going to be talking about service pistols, combat pistols, duty pistols, whatever you want to call them, kind of your sidearm in your Minuteman situation. It's not necessarily going to be an EDC video. It's going to be something you'll be wearing in a holster, on a belt, outside the waistband type of vibe. Something that's going to be like your go-to combat pistol. So I've got a couple different things here. We're going to be kind of representative of 3 categories, go over some pros and cons and what might be your best fit. So starting off here, we're going to start with the Glock 34 Gen 5. You can use Glock 34, Glock 17, Glock 19, SIG 320, Smith & Wesson, whatever. This is going to be representative of the striker fired category. So on here I've got my Trijicon RMR. This is the MOS model, so it is cut out for that. I've got my suppressor height sights. I've got a flashlight mount on the gun. This is Streamlight TLR1. You can use the X300 or any other reputable brand. Over here, I've got kind of representing the hammer fired, the double action, single action, your Beretta 92s, your SIG 226s, anything along those kind of lines, your CZ 75s, or not 75s, but like PO1s, or some of the 75s. I know some of them are single action, some of them are double action. But anyway, besides the point, this is my Beretta 92X Centurion. This guy here is has a TLR1 HL on the front here. No night sights on this guy, just I've got the orange front sight, something to upgrade later. You can also get like the Langdon tactical slides, or some of the modifications on there. We can get red dots or some pretty Gucci stuff on that. So that's an option there. And then of course, no duty weapon, no duty pistol video would be complete without pleasing the FUD crowd out there. So we also have, this is my Springfield Armory 45 ACP Range Officer Target. This is representative of the 1911. The 1911 is a very venerable pistol. This has a long service history. It also has a cult following that is, depending on who you talk to, deserved or not. I'm in the category that I think some of these things that the 1911 have brought to the table are pretty good. Some of them, not so much. That being said, the 2011s could also, in theory, fall into this category. They've kind of taken a lot of the things about the 1911 and modernize them. So again, we're going to go kind of over some pros and cons, go through each pistol and kind of what we like and don't like about them, and go from there. All right, so the first pistol we're going to look at is going to, again, to be the 1911. So got an empty mag, rack this to the rear. So pros of the 1911. You do have the availability to get these in both 9 and 45. I've heard of companies making these in 40, but I haven't. I mean, that's gross. Like, if you do that, you just don't. Anyway, so the pros of this is going to be the trigger on here. The single action trigger is super nice, super sweet, very easy to use. Just pull straight back, no weird mechanisms in there, no weird slack, just nice and easy. Some very nice triggers. That is one of the nicest things on the 1911 that I really like. One of the other things too that a lot of people seem to like, that do love the 1911, is the ability to carry this cocked and locked. So empty magazine, but assuming this was full, you load the weapon, you rack and slide. You can notice that your hammer is to the rear. You'll take your safety, you'll put it on. The gun is now cocked and locked, right? Hammer to the rear, safety on. So the idea here is, even with your grip safety, you can squeeze that. If you do not have the thumb safety down, it will not fire. Or you can take the thumb safety down and not actuate the grip safety, it will not fire. So it's a pretty safe pistol, right? You do have those 2 safeties, so you have to squeeze the gun, flip the safety off. You can see the hammer drop. Now, because the 1911 has been around for very long, there's some issues that some people have with these. One of the things I don't necessarily like a lot is that the takedown. Now, the takedown of these is not necessarily hard, but it is more complicated than some of the modern pistols that are out there. This is also a little bit harder to mount accessories onto. Now, there is some stuff out there that you can find. There's a company, I think Recover Tactical, makes a lot of stuff like this, where you can replace your grips with ones that overlap over the trigger and kind of come up underneath and add a rail. They look a little tacky in my opinion, but it is something that you can do. There are companies out there too where you can send your 1911 off. They will tap it and add a rail section for you to be able to mount a light on there. But generally as they come, they can be a little difficult to mount a light to. Same thing with optics. So this one happens to have the target sights. The other thing that can be a little issue with 1911s is there's a lot of different cuts for sights out there. So just because you have a 1911 from company A doesn't mean the sights that you bought will fit it, because it might be a different cut for your rear sight and your front sight. The other thing about that too, again, you can always get these milled, always get work done to these, but it is gonna cost you a little bit of money. Then speaking of money, when it comes to the 1911, there are a lot of companies out there that make 1911s, a lot of companies that make clones. The thing about that is that when it comes to 1911s, if you really want a good one, you're talking a minimum of about, you know, $850, $900 bare minimum. Realistically, the $1,000 price range or more going up is really where you're going to get that. So the tight fitting parts is what you're really going to be looking for, and the quality of the build. You can find like really cheap $500, $400 1911s out there. They're not going to work that great. They're going to jam up. They're going to have a lot more issues than some of the higher end ones. Also, if you want to get one with a rail, basically expect to pay at least $1,000 unless you go with some of the cheaper knockoffs. So this here, though, like I said, is the Springfield 1911. This is one of the few guns by Springfield that's actually made in the United States, not Croatia. And so we're going to fire a few rounds through it and show that one of the other limitations, unfortunately, is capacity. You do have 7+1, or sometimes these are Kimber mags, or 8+1 rounds in the mag. So you are a little bit more limited, and reloads you are a little bit more limited in capacity. We're out here at the 1911 today, so we're going to test her out and see how she do. You hear that? That's the sound of victory. It's not terrible, not great. 1911. Now, an untalked about pro of owning a 1911 is that if you like hanging out with older dudes, kind of getting to know a bunch of the guys who have, you know, Vietnam stories, I would say World War II stories, but a lot of those guys are dead now. You like hanging out with, taking your morning coffee down at the local gas station with everyone there that's on AARP, and you own a 1911, you'll fit right in. So with this, again, we got the fresh magazine in, that bad boy in, rack it. So, like I said, cocked and locked. Now that we're locked open, it's nice, easy to see, but here's the deal. So to drop the slide release, you almost, unless you got big gorilla hands like me, you almost have to rotate the gun out of your hand to hit it. And so a lot of people will use their support hand to do so. So now that we're out of ammunition, drop out our old mag, got our other one. Now with this again too, unless you get a magazine well, sometimes you've got to be real precise with that coming in there. None of this fumbling around crap, right? You got to get right, see, even like this, you get caught up, and the back here can be an issue. So you just come right in. Now with this, I generally have to move my hand around to the side of the gun. So show you guys, instead of like this, holding the firearm normally, I have to rotate it like this to hit that slide release, or come up and use my support hand. So come up like this, activate my inner clip. So if we look over here at our target, we shot some rounds out of this earlier too. So we've shot 3 mags in total, 1 from the intro of the video and 2 mags now. So again, I'm not really necessarily going for accuracy here. I'm kind of just showing the functioning of the weapon when I'm shooting. But that being said, you can still see, you can still be fairly accurate with a 1911. I mean, if this is a pretty tight grip here, some of these kind of walked away from me, especially shooting one-handed. I know some people in the comments are going to like talk shit all about my groups. I get it. But you're going to get a bunch of dudes out there too that are going to be following this with FUD lore. That is one of the downsides with the 1911, is that yes, it is still a good pistol. Yes, you can still use it. However, understand its limitations. Understand that this is an over 100-year-old design. The 1911 was introduced, guess what, around 1911, right? Adopted in the US military around that time as well. It's 2024. It's been 113 years, okay? I know you guys are going to defend it. I know you guys are going to be out there telling me that I'm wrong. But that's like taking a Springfield 03 into the invasion of Iraq. Think about that. The second gun we're going to look at is the Glock 34. Again, this is going to be kind of a more striker fire-based firearm. I'm going to take the category of that too when it comes to this. So the nice thing is, for me at least, you've got double stack 9mm magazines. I prefer 9mm over 45. It's cheaper. It does the same damn thing. The FBI did some bunch of studies on this. I think it was like 2015, 2014. Basically figured out the difference between 940 and 45 in modern handgun ammunition. Basically minimal. I know you're already typing in the comments. I don't care. Meter is going to do just fine. So right now I've just got FMJ because we're just shooting targets at the range and I don't really care that much. But you can run hollow point ammunition. If you haven't heard of it, check out G9. They're a local ammo producer. Not sponsored to say that. I just really like their stuff. It's pretty killer. It's an awesome external hollow point. So with this, you can get these 9, 40, 45, 357 SIG. I mean, your heart's content. Get whatever caliber you want, right? You can get Glock, Smith & Wesson, SIG, any reputable brand, some of the CCP-10s that are out there. So fairly affordable. You can get some older models usually on like police turn-ins, super cheap. The thing I like about them is how customizable they are. Now, I'm not huge on Gucciing out my guns. I know some people out there got Gucci Glocks and everything like that. Kind of the joke going around, you know, is you buy Glock perfection and then you swap out your trigger, your recoil spring, your barrel, and everything else. By the time you're done, the only thing that's Glock is, well, the fact that it says Glock on the frame. You know, and then it doesn't work. So again, we've got the RMR on here, so I like the ability that I have to be able to mount a red dot on this thing, as well as be able to have a light so I can see what I'm shooting at. So now let's go ahead and shoot it and see how we do. So one thing I like about the Glock 34 specifically is that I like having that longer barrel there. If it really comes down, you know, when it comes down to it, it's not much longer than a 17. It's really not much longer than a 19 either. But I do like having that little bit extra velocity and kind of lends itself to pushing that around a little bit further. Now, that being said, we're like 7 yards from the target, so it doesn't really matter. But the other thing I really like too, again, with that red dot, now you can run whatever red dot you want to put on there. I'm really big fan of the Trijicon RMR. Only thing I don't like is the battery is stored under the optic, so you do have to dismount it to mount it back on. I mean, whenever you want to change the batteries. Hollow Sun and a few other companies have come out with better ones. I think actually they came out with a new RMR that's got a top-mounted battery, which is a pretty awesome deal. But these batteries are measured, the battery life is measured in years. You know, change it every other birthday, you'll be fine. But I like how quickly you can get on target and make accurate shots quickly. So let's give it a shot. Another thing real quick too, we've got a steel gong in the back over there, is being able to shoot steel or shoot targets really at a distance with a red dot really helps with that, as opposed to the iron sights like we had on the 1911. Now granted, those are limited in their capability, they're still great sights. The red dot, in my opinion, makes it that much better, and it makes it a lot easier to hit targets at distance with. So let's see if we can hit that gong over there. We're gonna see how well we do at hitting it and how easy we can with the red dot. First try. All right, we're gonna edit that out. God damn it. We're gonna cut some of that out. All right, final pistol we're looking at again is kind of the single action, double action pistol that we're going to be kind of representing the SIG 226, the Beretta 92, CZ75s, some of those types of firearms, that kind of category. So when we refer to double action, single action, basically what we're referring to is the hammer and the trigger and how many actions those are performing. So right now, again, I'll show you the gun is clear. I don't want you guys to yell at me in the comments. You guys are probably doing that enough already. So we've got the hammer to the rear. The weapon, if it had ammunition in it right now, would be in what's called single action mode, right? So the hammer is to the rear, and the trigger, all I have to do is when I pull it, it drops the hammer, single action. So if you see where the hammer is, I mean, where the trigger is here, right? How far forward that is, when I cock that hammer back, right? Or when the weapon actuates, it pulls that trigger back already. So you got a nice, easy squeeze, right? Now, from here, we have double action. So what that is whenever the hammer is down, I have to pull the trigger, and you can see how far forward it is. I have to apply more force and watch the hammer. As I pull it, it cocks the hammer and releases it. So the trigger is doing two actions, thus double action. It is cocking and releasing the hammer. So pros of this is that in single action mode, you get some really nice trigger squeezes out of here. Problem with this is that in single action, you'll get a really nice, easy trigger squeeze. In double action, however, it is a little bit tougher. Sometimes what I found, especially like using the Beretta M92 in the Navy and being a firearms instructor there, what I saw a lot of times is people, when they would have it in double action, they'd fire their first round in double action, then the weapon will cycle and go into single action. So a lot of times they throw that first round because they're not used to that harder trigger pull, and they don't train to that. So then that way that first round kind of goes like high and right or low and left, and then they follow up with that nice single action shot, and they're pretty good to go after that. So we'll see if we can kind of show you what we're talking about here with that and get some range time on it. All right, so again, we're out here with the Beretta 92X. We've got a 18 round magazine. I forgot this was an 18 rounder. So the Beretta 92X, the Beretta M9A3, the same mags, pretty sweet. So with this, like I said, you get that double action, single action. So load our round in here. We're in single action right now. I'm gonna drop the safety, which is a decocker. Now we're in double action, right? So now we're gonna shoot this white guy over here because we don't discriminate. So if we can look at the target real quick here, these two top rounds, even with that transition from double action to single action, I don't know, we're like maybe 7 yards. That's not terrible. Let's try it again. Back in double action. Back in double action. Go for a headshot. See if I can do that Sicario thing. How's he do that? You just push forward and pull back? All right, let's see if I can do that Sicario thing. Okay, hold on. We're gonna grab another mag. All right, like I said again, it's not hard to make good hits at 7 yards. I'm not trying to tell you guys I'm great, but out of all these guns, I'm a big Glock guy, but I freaking love my 92X. That's all that string of fire that we just shot in the head. Again, not hard to make those shots, but I mean, look at that. I mean, I freaking love this thing, right? My personal opinion, this is the way to go. I trick it out with the Langdon Tactical one. I got a buddy who's of mine that I'll show you here in a minute. But the other cool thing about you can do with this is we're gonna try the whole Sicario deal where he puts his finger on the trigger, tries to make it shoot really fast. See if we can't knock it out with one of these. What was that guy saying in the Sicario? Adios. .9A4. So he's got the threaded barrel, suppressor hide sights. He's got the hollow sun up top. This thing's got a super sweet trigger. He's got a lot more rounds through his gun than I got through mine, so his triggers is super smooth. The Surefire X300 on here. I mean, this thing is butter. So if you do like the 92s and you want to upgrade that shit, that's where you go. Now, the final thing to talk about real quick is just holster compatibility. Remember, you're looking for your weapon. You do want to find the right holster. Now, with the 1911, I don't really use this as a combat weapon. It's a fun range toy for me. I understand this for, you know, I understand its limitations. I don't necessarily use, you know, if I absolutely had to, sure, but it's not my go-to thing. So for this, I just have an old school cavalry holster. I thought it was cool, kind of fits the vibe, goes with it. Now there's tons of holsters out there you can find. Safariland makes plenty of them. You can find tons of holsters out there for it. But the biggest thing, again, making sure you have a good holster. Whenever you start getting into guns with lights and accessories, you have to make sure you're finding compatible holsters. So for my light bearing and optic ready gun, I have a Safariland. I've just kind of put some camo wrap around, but I've got the QLS system on the back. Fits nice and easy, pulls right out, good holster for that. Then the one I think is actually kind of cooler for my 92 is this is actually, I found this on eBay. It is a Safariland holster. It's got that multicam kind of cloth outer part to it. It's got a spot on here where I can throw on my tourniquet, QLS on the back. But these were actually apparently like a Ranger Battalion exclusive for a while, and once they switched over to the M17s, these became available on the market. So if you got a 92 or a 92X and you're looking for a light bearing holster, hard to beat. It's like 80 bucks on eBay. All right, guys, That being said, I think I've talked enough. You've seen me shoot enough. We'll catch you on the next one.